Welcome to True Print for Life. I'm your host, Christina Vera.
And I'm your co-host, Maylin Sambois.
Welcome back for another episode of just all the things that are happening in our lives right now. Speaking of which, you know, what I love about Maylin and I is that we can go even days without talking to each other.
Yes.
But it never feels like I've missed a day.
I know.
Because
I just miss her, but
I miss her too. I think it's just so crazy because I was thinking about that. I had to go to this thing a couple days ago.
She did. And I know she worked us. I saw pictures. I was like, was that an email?
And to be honest, it was like I really was hesitant to go only because I'm trying to be, I try to be very intentional about just my energy.
And your time.
And my time. And because, you know, we work so much. And so definitely like, I try to be like carving out time where I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to be home with the kids or I'm just going to be, you know, wherever. And so I don't do a whole lot of like other things outside of work, but you know, this gathering, it was interesting because a friend of mine was like, you know, come, like I really want you there. I bought you the ticket.
Of course she did.
And so
I know exactly when I saw it. I was like, I know exactly how this went down.
I'm gonna go. But I'm so glad I did because I had to remind myself, being in that room, I was like, you know, seeing a lot of different people that I hadn't seen in a long time. And, you know, the reality was, it was interesting because some of them were like kind of waiting to see like what my energy was going to be like. Was I going to speak? And then I came to a point I was like, I've never done anything to any of you people, you know? And so I think sometimes when you just kind of like, you just do you, it just like, for me, it was never like, I'm like, why do I need to feel awkward? Why do I need to feel like, you know, any kind of anxiety about this? And so I just literally, you know, started talking to folks and saying hello. And you could just see the sheer off guard that they were like, oh my God. And it was just kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but without saying too much, I'll have to really brief you later on at a later time.
This would be an offline conversation, guys. But we'll give you the lessons here. Yeah.
But what my lesson was in that is just, you know, situations, people, all these things, like seeing them and seeing some of them, they represented different seasons in my life.
Ooh, fire.
Yeah, it was so crazy. Like seeing a sprinkle of them, I was like, okay, I remember that was at the beginning before we even met, right? And so then there was a few more. I was like, all right.
15 years ago.
Yeah, like it was, and just thinking about like my interactions with these people and recognizing it. And we talked about this a little bit at the Galentine's event that we had a couple weeks ago or last week. It wasn't even that long ago.
Last week, guys. It feels like last month, but it was last week.
But one of the ladies at the event, she was talking about like sometimes people are seasonal and you like, that's okay. Like don't feel any type of way. Like, don't hold any ill will. And I had to think to myself, I was like, I didn't have any ill will towards these people, but you know, for whatever reason, it was just a disconnect. And so I just remember seeing them and walking out of there feeling like such gratitude, even though some of those situations were really, you know, just weird.
They were growth moments.
Yeah, they were definitely growth moments. And like I said, it was more interesting to see how uncomfortable they also were. But I just made it a point not to make it more awkward. You know, I spoke to everyone. I said hello, complimented whatever little bit I had seen on social media that they had been up to. And they all definitely complimented what we had been up to. So it made, you know, when you think people are not watching, even if they don't like your posts, they don't donate or they don't show up or they don't volunteer, you know, don't hold them to that because they are still watching. They're still inspired one way or another. And ultimately just hearing that, it was interesting because I was like, oh, okay. But, you know, like I said, you have to meet people where they're at. And I feel like in that moment, some of them, I could feel the energy, whatever they were going through, that I don't know. But just the short encounters that I had with a few of them that really took me back to different seasons of my life in ways it kind of made me want to figure out how I can support them more, even though they have not reciprocated that. But it reminded me of like, you know what, at the end of the day, like it's not about me. Like we say, it's bigger than us. And so in that moment, I could have been that person already felt like they might be at a breaking point. And so if I would have been rude or been very dismissive, that could have really, there was probably like 3 or 4 of them that I saw that night that was really just like,
they had hurt in their eyes.
Oh, it was like there was so much mixed energy in that room.
Yeah, I could feel it. I saw it.
Oh my God. And it was crazy because I didn't walk out of there feeling I just walked out of there feeling like I don't want to overly involve myself, but I also felt like in that moment, it was important for me to put my ego to the side and just say, you know what, I don't know what you're going through, but I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to ask you how things are going. And so that my goal is every encounter that we have together, you can never say that I was anything but me. And so it was really eye-opening because I just think that younger me, I definitely would have been like, I ain't speaking to her, or I'm not speaking to them. And some people I didn't speak to, and it wasn't intentional. It just didn't get to it. It was a lot of people. It was a lot of folks. And so, but needless to say, it was definitely it was just a very interesting experience, but an experience I appreciated because, like I said, it just was pivotal to like just seeing folks, and it took me into different pinpoints throughout our professional career.
Couple things from this takeaway. And I have not talked to her yet, right. Guys. Okay, because this happened Saturday. We went to church on Sunday, and we left, right? Because we had a lot of things to do that day. We were going to go see family afterwards.
Yep.
So let me start here. I think when you have a pure heart, right, and your intentions are good, doesn't mean you're perfect, because none of us are, and we have had, right, moments where we want to just jump on somebody, right, because you just done some stupid stuff. But I think that if your intentions are pure, then you can come to people, you can talk to people, and you're good. Like, you're not nervous about seeing them, you're not concerned. Because I have had similar experiences, you know this, where I have seen people that done me wrong, that they know in their heart they done me wrong, and that I have not spoken about it. Then only like those real close to me, which is you, know about it. And they nervous when they see me. Like, you can see their face changing, you can see they shifting. I gave a person a hug one day. I thought she was going to pass out. Like, because I don't, actually because of some of the situations that we have been at, we're here.
Right.
And I know they didn't intend it to, they didn't intend it for us to be here. I don't know if they intended to hurt me at the time or hurt us at the time, but I know where they were, their mindset, right? It wasn't as mature. It's been like 10, 13 years. So they were not as mature then as we are today, right? Maybe they were going through the own thing that they didn't talk about, right?
Yeah.
But with the encounters that you have had, that I've been part of a few, and the ones that I have had that I have shared with you, I think what I always ask God is to show me what I don't see. And when somebody's acting a fool to you, or somebody's coming at you a certain way, it's almost like bullying. I pray you to ask, like, what is it? Because there's more than what you see. There's something going on in that person's life that is causing them to act a fool.
Yeah.
That is causing them, right, to come at you. Because anytime I have asked for that clarity, it comes so clear. And then I can see, okay, so it's not like you have something towards me.
Yeah.
You are afraid. You're afraid to lose your job. You're afraid to lose your status. You're afraid that people are going to look at you like you're not good enough, or that you fail at this. So instead of dealing with your own fears and things, you're coming at me because it just seems like the easiest things to do, which is like, one of the sermons we heard the other day, which is you're not looking at your own thing in your eye. You're looking at me and see what you can pick out of me to make you feel better, because you're so hurt and broken inside, right? And you're so lost. You don't even know what your vision is. So let me just steal your vision, because you know what? Yours seems pretty good.
Right.
And that's what I think we have experienced a lot through the years. It's not people that are mean. Maybe they have been mean, but they're not ill people. They're people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're not mean people. They're not people that if you met them on any occasion, you'd be like, wow, these people are so nice. They were going through a moment in their life, right? And that affected us. And I would say I'm grateful for everything, even the bad things, even the things that made me cry, even the things that had me on my knees crying. I'm so grateful because today who we are and where we are is based on all those experiences that we had.
Yeah.
Like they propel us actually, right? To where we are. So I'm actually grateful for them.
Yeah, I agree. I walked out of there feeling like really like, because sometimes it's not, you know, it's people don't have a problem with you. They're you know, they are afraid or they have
They're
a
projecting.
problem with what you represent and what you're capable of. And if you've surpassed them, you know, I tell people all the time, like, we have never been in competition with anybody. You know, for us, it's always about like how we can improve. Like,
how can we stay alive?
When people like literally when people have asked us in years past, like in interviews and even grant applications and all this stuff, like, oh, how are you different than this person, or how are you? And it's like I don't know what they're doing over there. I don't see it. It's not because there's no arrogance involved. It's because we are laser focused in our lane, and if we can co-collaborate, cool. But it's never going to be. You're never going to categorize us to be against somebody else.
No, you won't.
Because I think when you're so focused on trying to be in competition with others, you are losing the opportunity to authentically win in your space. What was meant for you, what was meant for, you know, your purpose, your vision. Spending more time, and I'm not saying like don't do your research, right?
Research.
Like, you're in restaurant business. I mean, you know, whatever it is, there's always going to be competitors, but you should want to know what they are strictly just from a, you know, an understanding, a marketing purpose, but not to be so critically vested in outdoing.
Right.
I mean, when you look at like the candy bar companies, you look at all the hamburger chains, you look at. I mean, all these people sell hamburgers.
Yeah, all the chocolate. I love all the chocolates. I don't care how many companies come up with a chocolate. I'm on it. Like, give me a chocolate. I don't care what the brand.
I watch those shows that show like the history. Like I'll watch like the
Hershey's documentary.
Like the Hershey documentary. Even how like the Reese cup. Like, I mean, all these companies back in the day, you know, they were individual brands. And then at some point they decided to co-collaborate to, you know, be able to stay in business and to be able to, you know, have longevity. And so I think there's opportunity to learn someone else's craft for the opportunity of collaboration or co-branding. But you can't always be in a space of, you know, studying others just because you want to take them under. What's for you is for you. And I tell people that all the time. If things have not worked out for us, that just wasn't for us. Yeah. So I don't know. It's weird energy. So I typically just excuse myself, but I think it was very prevalent that evening, just in terms of others weren't sure, like just what the energy and the dynamics were going to be. And I was just like, listen,
You've been who you always been. You were no different than when you always been. Like you tell me now, if you had been anything different, then I'll be like, okay, that's not you.
Yeah.
But you were who exactly you are.
Exactly. And I couldn't have been more, you know, just thankful for the growth, thankful for how you and I have been able to build, God willing, what we have built over the years. And it was never at the expense of anybody else. Like we never
or putting anybody down.
Yeah, we've never made it about anybody else or trying to outdo someone. You know, I mean, we see the replicas of our work where people come and they
what did I say about
duplicate. You know, and it's okay. I told somebody that night, someone said something to me similar, and I think they were trying to get a reaction out of me. And I was like, you know, at the end of the day, you know, if we can inspire another organization or another individual, you know, we can't possibly serve and impact everybody. So
all of us are needed.
Absolutely.
All of us are needed.
Yeah.
A second point you said, and I want to make sure this doesn't get missed in this podcast. So if you walk away with a couple of things, this is the second one, is speak life into somebody. Because Christina says something so important, and it brought me to point 2 of the church sermon. Watch the other episode, guys. So you know how to have the conversation. And you said, you know, I don't want to get super involved, but I want to make sure, right? Like, what can I do? That almost made me think about that, about having a conversation, not about our own doing, but about how support, right? And then it's up to them if they want the support or not. Like, it's up to them if they want to take it. But at that moment, when you recognize somebody's energy of being broken inside and even not even know how to share it, but because you're so in tune right now with your intuition, you could feel this person was at a breaking point.
Yeah, there was 2 people that I literally have thought about since that night. and I'm like, I don't know how
Text
to
them.
just message them.
Yeah, say, hey, it was great to see you. Would you
Yeah.
like to have coffee or tea sometime
that's a
soon?
good idea.
That's it. Because I'm so grateful to God that you are, this is why I love her, guys. So, good for you if you know her, okay? Because she's great. But you had a choice. And every time you encounter somebody, you have a choice. You can speak life to them,
Yeah.
or you can speak non-life to them. And what you do at that time could set them into the path of recovery, or it could set them to a path of derailment.
Yeah.
And I think, my friend Tiffany always says speaks life. And I was like, what did she say that? I'm like, what does that mean when you say speaks life, right? And I have gotten it more through the years as I gotten older.
Yeah.
But we have a choice. And, for me, the thing have always been, I want to leave people better than how I found them.
Right.
And you were able to do that for these people. Like, I'm so glad, right? Like, you were there. First of all, they admire you because of what you have been able to accomplish, whether it be with us in Femergy or within the school district. And you are an example. And then also the grace that you have had in dealing with people. So they watch that. And some of them wish they could have that, but they're not there yet. And that's okay. And maybe their life just they haven't had the right support, because sometimes you surround yourself with catty people or people that are not there for you. And instead of elevating you, they kind of keep you stagnant. Or then you get all this drama, because drama brings drama.
Right.
So that energy can get attached to you. So as you connect with your people and as you go in there, you always said the prayer of, let them see what you want them to see through me, right? And protect my energy, right? As you do that, because that is a strong energy. If you felt that it's strong. So that's my advice. But I will encourage you to reach out, because if you felt that it was for you to feel it.
Yeah, it's true. I literally, between two that I saw that night and one of the young ladies that was here for the Galentine's, I was like, okay, I need to make a list and find the time. I don't know when, but I'm going to figure it out, because there was...
Tomorrow, she's sending a text.
Yeah, I'm going to send a text tomorrow.
Yes. I got in the text from one of the ladies that was here already too.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because I made it intentional to check in.
And I think that sometimes it's just, we often think about, how can I make an impact? What can I do? And I think, to Myleen's point, it could just be something as simple as like a check-in text, like, hey, how you doing? You popped in my mind today. Can I pray for you? Is there anything you need? I mean, not that, the whole need thing, be very careful about that. Don't overextend yourself.
Start with.
Just like, hey, I just want to check in, But, within parameters and within, I mean, you have to have boundaries, right? So, I'm also very big on helping others, but I'm big on boundaries, because there's a lot of energy and a lot of heaviness that comes along with serving others. Although, you have to do it. It's a part of, what God expects us to do. And so I'm definitely aware of sometimes when you feel the urge to serve and to, impact others, it becomes a lot. But if you do it with it like bites, right? It ain't got to be all, I'm not about to text 20 people. I'm going to text 3 people.
Yeah, take 3. Just take 3 at a time.
Yeah, 3 at a time. And if, like you said, they can either respond and say, yes, I would love to meet with you. And maybe I can get to the root of whatever they feel comfortable with sharing. But it was definitely some kind of weird. I want to say weird, because that's not the right word. But there was
a concern.
Yeah, it was a concerned energy. And it was just odd, because sometimes I wish I could turn that off.
No, you can't.
I know you can't, but
that helps you. I love it.
I put my sunglasses on so I don't have to see it.
No,
but
because you're chosen.
Yeah.
I think you can meet so many people, and if you felt something, and if God put something in you to say do something, or if you don't believe in God, but if you feel the hunt, like that gut feeling that says, reach out to so-and-so or say something, like, you were chosen, to do something. So that's your responsibility.
Yeah, I know.
What they do with that is up to them.
Yeah, very true. So I'm going to add that to my to-do list.
Now, here's my advice on the support. I always tell people, what support do you need, right? And if I can help, I'm definitely going to do my best, right? Because I may not be the one that helps you.
Yeah.
I may be able to connect you to a resource that can. Right.
Yeah.
So I always have that kind of boundary now that I didn't have before. Christina's always worried I'm going to be a social worker, but
I be telling her, y'all, because she be doing so much.
I just love people.
But you scaled back.
And I have had a good mentor. She's right next to me.
You used to do so much, which I love that, because that truly is your heart, and you want to support people. You want to meet folks where they're at. And that truly is who you are. But sometimes it can become so much.
It's draining.
And now you're a mom, and you got other responsibilities.
And I have a lot of people that I'm responsible for.
Yeah, so it's like you can't give what you don't have. And I mean, I think you can do it in bites, but it shouldn't be to where your whole schedule is full of doing stuff for other people.
You got 1 or 2 events of me now, maybe. And I think that's critical because I overdid it, right? And that was my season. So like everything has a season. Yeah. I had a season of where I was out here not managing my time, for me and more for others. And I hopefully served and impacted a lot of people. But now I'm at a season where I'm really looking into my circle, right? Like, are my friends okay? Is my family okay? Right? And then I have a large family, guys, right? Yeah. And then if I adopted some of my friends and their families, and that's a lot already. That's a lot of people you have to be, checking in on. So I think I do look outside of that. For 1 or 2, right? Like kind of like a month or a quarter that I can touch. And I make a list. I actually have a list.
Yeah.
And I heard that in one of my coaching calls that I have with one of my advisors. And it's like, okay, who do you want to, check in with? And that's what I've been doing. I've been checking in, and then I check it off. Like, because, sometimes you go to talk to some of your really good friends for a long time or acquaintances, whatever you want to call it, because you're so busy. So I was like, okay, there's 10 people in the next 6 months. I got to make sure I check in. Because what I hate is getting like something happened to this person. And I'm like, darn it. Like, I was supposed to talk to them.
I know.
Like one of the ladies we were going to have on the podcast, she passed. And it was like an overnight thing. And that hit me hard. But then I was heartbroken because she was gone. But I remember our last conversations, and they were always positive. And, she always had my love for us. And that was my peace. Like, anytime I encounter her, there was peace.
Yeah.
And I think to your point of how you speak to people every time, regardless of what's going on, try your best to have a peaceful conversation with people. You don't have to kiss their butt. You don't have to be their best friends, but you could be cordial and kind.
Right.
Because you don't know that's the last time you're going to speak with them.
Right. Very true. So true. It's so interesting because, as you said, like, life is so precious. So my birthday was just a couple weeks ago. And
happy birthday, girl.
Thank you. My last year in my 30s.
She's really struggling with this one, guys. Please send her love.
My birthday, Dustin. I was like, it was the day before my birthday, actually. And I don't know why I was crying. Like, can't say. I think it's the thought that I'm getting older, and I'm blessed, right? I'm grateful to see another year. And so I had nothing.
And she looks great.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I just was like, literally, like, in my mind, I was like, okay, next year I'm gonna be 40, and that means I'm halfway to 80. And that means like just all these thoughts that just did not make any sense. But like, the more and more I thought about it, it was just like, yo, I'm about to be 40. And I just remember like being like, I couldn't wait to be like 18. I couldn't wait to be 21. I couldn't wait. And I was just like, this is my last year of my 30s. And just the thought of it. And I think there's just a psychological piece that, like, every day, time, as we say all the time, it waits for no one. So like, every day is another day closer to whatever my expiration is. I don't know when that is going to be. Nobody knows. But just the thought
hopefully
that
120.
Just someone's. Maybe with science they'll continue to figure out how to keep us. But it's just the thought that as we're aging, you're going into these different transitions, and like, my kids are getting older, and then eventually they're going to be like full grown adults. I'm going to be like, my siblings, I'm the oldest. So like, thinking through, like, I'm also the oldest sibling. So like, I'll be really old before them, and they're going to, so just like all these like, and so like, I start crying in the kitchen, and Ken was like, why are you crying? And I was like, I'm just getting old. Like, you're already in your 40s. It's different from men. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like,
hey, how old's your husband?
Like 42.
He's like, she thinks I'm Asian.
But it's just like, it was almost like I could see sometimes where they say like men have midlife crisis. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not having a midlife crisis, but I'm also recognizing that I'm transitioning into another season. So when you think about the decades, right, in your 20s, you're just like, you're YOLO. Yeah. Like, life is what it is. I ain't worried about my credit. I'm not worried about saving no money. I was out in the clubs. I was in Miami. I was living my life. Literally, it was like, how am I gonna pay my rent? Like, I'll figure it out next week.
That's like,
but tonight, I'm like, we're like Pitbull in the club. Tonight, I don't have no money, but I'm in this club. Like, just lost my mind. And then towards the end of my 20s, I was like, okay, you have a second child. I had a lot of fun. I ended up with 2 children before the time I was in my late 20s. And then I was like, okay, I got to start taking things more serious as I approached my 30s. So I approached my 30s. I got serious about my career. I got serious about my credit. I got serious about saving money. I got married. And I just was like, okay.
All the normal things.
So I have spent my 30s.
Maturing.
I learned the lessons in my 20s. The 30s I've been building. And now I'm heading into the 40s. And I'm like, okay, what's that?
Phase 2 of building.
Phase 2 of building. But then when that phase is over.
Yeah, then it's enjoying. Then 50 is super enjoying.
I'm going to be halfway to 100. Like I'm 50.
Well,
don't that sound really like...
No. So we have different perspectives on ages, guys.
No, I love it. I'm blessed.
Yes.
I'm
and she looks so good. Have you seen her on YouTube? I need you to look at this girl.
It's just a thought, like the age thing. But
there's 20-year-olds that are like dying in the mirror, looking at you and be like, if I could just look like her.
Thank you so much.
Because if you were not pretty, I'll tell you. Because I'm really that serious. But you look great. You graciously aging.
I know, but I have a gray hair in my eyebrow.
That's the only place?
Is that normal? No, I got them a couple right here, and I literally have a gray hair in my eyebrow.
Did you not see my TikTok when I was doing the 10th anniversary and I was trying to be cute and I saw this big
you
white...
You got a couple too, I see it. Listen, but you're in your 40s too.
It's salt and pepper. I'm
not ready, guys. I just want to preserve this youth. But I say all that to say, my father-in-law calls me on my birthday.
How old is he?
He's in his 70s. He left me a message, and he was just like, hey, happy birthday. I was in a meeting and I never called him back. So last Tuesday, I get a call I was walking into the house and my husband was on the phone with his mother. He was like, Tony's in the hospital. And I was like, what? He was like, my mom said he woke up that morning and didn't know where he was and couldn't walk. So they had to send him in an ambulance to the hospital. The next day, Kent left for Tennessee. So Kent's been gone since last week.
He's there with them?
He's been there.
So when are you going?
I can't go. And so the hospital, so he's been calling me, reporting back.
Okay.
And so...
I thought he was out for work.
No.
Okay, so we missed this.
He's in Tennessee because Tony... So literally, it's been over a week now. They've been trying. It'll be a week tomorrow.
I'm like, he's in Indiana working. Oh, man.
No, so he's out there, and he has been having to advocate for proper... So I almost went out there yesterday.
I'm saying you should go over there.
And so I told Kent, I was like, do you need me to come? And he was like... No, not yet. Like, I think, we're figuring things out. He's been getting all these tests and these labs. And I was just like, well, what can I do from here? And he was like, just pray. Like there's nothing, because I think for Kent, I don't want to overwhelm them because I know I'm a force. And I know that, this is a small country town with probably like 20 people. And it's just like, so I wanted him to, but what I say all that to say, like, listening to that voicemail now and knowing like 2 days later. So just like that, like he's in and out. So they think he has the beginning stages or maybe even further, the beginning of dementia. And they did a scan on his brain and there's fluid. So today he got a spinal tap to try to relieve some of the fluid. And then he called me about a couple hours ago and he was saying he was arguing with the hospital because they wanted to discharge him. And mind you, he had a spinal tap today. Like, they're still not clear
on what he has.
So there's all these things just like up in the air. And so Ken said something really profound to me. He was like, I just never realized like how much you got to advocate for people, especially when it comes to healthcare. And I said, babe, you do whatever you have to do. Do not let them discharge him because at the end of the day, if you get him home, your mom's not going to know what to do because she's elderly as well. And so just recognizing that at different stages, people need different things. And, we can't get so busy that we really don't take the time for people that matter most to us. And we have to be mindful at some point, whatever the situation may be, somebody's got to advocate for you.
Yes.
You might have to advocate for someone else. And so I'm so proud of Kent because that's typically not in his nature. Right. Like he's an advocator. Like he's a fighter. He's a fighter. He goes hard. But to see him like literally the next day, he got in a car, drove all the way to Tennessee. He's been in and out of the hospital, a hospital that's like 50 minutes away from their house. And he has been like day by day just there, just making sure that they're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing. And now we might have to be preparing for how do we get them back from Tennessee to
I was just
Ohio.
thinking that. So that house is coming sooner than we thought, huh?
We might not have a choice
Yeah.
because it's like,
You need a first floor for them.
yeah. And because they're both in their 70s. And so, you know, and whatever is going on with him, we don't know that he's ever going to be how he was just a month ago. And it's just such a quick change for a person who is just very self-sufficient, has always been, drives back and forth from Tennessee to Ohio like twice a month.
Watches your kids with
Well,
love.
loves my children. I've known Kent for 22 years. So like he's been like my second dad all these years. And so just to see, you know, he FaceTimed me with him yesterday and he looked so scared. He looked like a child. Like, you know, that's how I knew whatever they were describing. I saw it in his face.
Thank God Kent is there, man.
Oh, I was like literally like, I mean, the fact that if he wasn't there, like who would be there to advocate for them?
Nobody.
And it's just it's so sad that when you think about healthcare and when you think about aging and when you talk about like quality of life, mind you, they are financially stable for the most part. Like they had retirement, they have all the things. But you think about so many other populations of folks that don't have that set up.
And they're white.
Yeah.
And they still have to struggle to get advocated. It is 3-4 times worse for minorities, but you still, right, struggle.
Yeah.
And you need to have an advocate.
Yeah. So, I mean.
This age is hard.
It's very hard. I think even like I was already mentally struggling turning 40 and then like now this is happening. I'm like, who's going to take care of it? I would love to think that my children will be like my husband, you know, because I know I would be that for our parents. And so you know, so just thinking through all these shifts and changes in life and the different seasons of people in their lives. So I think it's just, you know, my message for anyone listening today is just be mindful of what season people are in. Be mindful of what season you're in because you might be showing up and acting a certain type of way only because you haven't evaluated like where you are right now. And so I think right now I'm just in this awareness as to I'm aging, people around me are in different seasons. And so just wanting to be more mindful as to, you know, what others are going through and giving myself the grace and the opportunity to also process the season that I'm in. Because this is my last year in my 30s, y'all. And I mean, some people get excited about that. I'm just like, I'm turning 40
We're going to turn up next year for her 40. I don't know why I'm so excited. This is how I get every time she has a big milestone coming. When she was getting married, I thought I was getting married because I was turned. I was in Miami before she was there.
She sure was.
I was like, okay, girl, you guys are almost here because I just love it. Like I get there a little bit before her. And then we're good to go. So 40 is going to be great. I think I had so much going on. I didn't even take time to realize like my 40s, right? Because there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
But I love the 40s. And I think I did a message on TikTok the other day because I was looking at my face and I was like, okay, first of all, cute face. Okay. But when I was, you know, I look at a picture the other day and I was like, man, I was like in my 20s and my 30s, like the fittest. Like I was so fit. I was like, man, that was the time, guys. But then I had to take a second and be like, man, like appreciate today.
Yeah.
Because in 50 years, God willing, when I'm 100, when we are older and we're like in Dominican or somewhere nice, you know, just viejitas, little old ladies, we're going to look back and be like, man, we were hot. You remember that we were recording that podcast? We were so hot. Because, you know, it's all perspective.
Right.
So from now forward, I think we need to take the moment every time and be like, you know what? I'm grateful for this.
Yeah.
Because whether I get one more day or 300 more years, this is the moment. This is how we look now, and you would embrace that.
Yeah.
We're never going to go back to what we were.
Right.
And I think this is actually even better than what we were. Actually, if I go back, I'm like, this is hot. Like, this is great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then going forward, we're just going to get better.
You're right.
Like wine. And then we're going to celebrate. Maybe we'll do the podcast from over there. So Dalton, get ready. The invitation's coming. We're going to do a nice, you know, like just like we launched the podcast in a nice, beautiful.
Yeah, we launched it in Mexico.
What's not to say for your 40, you can share your message. You're going to be so lit. Like you're going to love it. It's going to be great. God willing,
I love that.
We get there.
Are you planning my 40th? That's sounding doesn't sound like she's projecting some kind of plan. Okay. All right. We'll
I'm
circle
like,
back.
can't finish what's going on right now. We can figure out what's going to happen, right?
Okay.
Because now I thought he was working right out there. I didn't know.
No, he's working virtually.
Yes, of course.
Technically.
No, he is working, but I didn't know it was for family, right? So once we figure this out, right, we'll start preparing for your 40th. so we can have a great time. And you're gonna be like, damn, what was I worried about? This is amazing. I can't wait for my 50.
I know it's gonna be lit. I'm just processing.
It's normal.
I'm getting older.
It's normal. It's normal. This is normal.
I think when this gray came into this eyebrow, it messed me up. Because I have a gray hair.
She does, and it's fine, guys. She'll figure it out. I'm gonna have to go to
the eyebrow lady and be like, "What can you do about this? Can she color this?"
She will, but don't think about the gray. Because my grandfather had white hair. That was his inheritance to us. Was really
I love
white
that
hair.
for him. I don't want that.
I know, but we have had it since we're young. So Gotti in his 20s had white hair.
Wow.
I have had white hair for a long time, and it's like, baby, just come in. We'll color you red once or 3 times a year, and we're good to go. Like if you come and pop in the middle of some celebrations, you is invited. Okay, right. But I think it's gonna take time for you to embrace. I'm about to be 42, I think, according to my birth certificate.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I actually don't feel any different, if not better, actually, which is crazy. I had a whole child.
I know.
Then
but you said you were gonna have a child by the time you turned 40.
I did, because that's manifestation, and I cannot wait to get the million. Yeah. The million should come right before the 50, though.
Okay.
So we got 8 years to hit what we need to hit.
It out.
Yes.
All right, I love that.
And we're gonna do it. God willing, that is his purpose. It's gonna happen. So you can feel all the feels, but just start embracing and be in gratitude every day.
Absolutely. All right.
That's my advice to you, BFF.
All right. Well, as we say, as always.
She's gonna process that. It's gonna take her some time, guys.
My last year in my 30s, Lord Jesus.
As we always say here, it's bigger than you. Thank you so much for listening today. We're excited, and we hope that you follow us on
Instagram, True Print for Life, YouTube channel, also True Print for Life. And make sure that you share, like, watch our videos. Make sure that you follow us on all streaming platforms.